All right. Sabbath day, 12/18/21. We're going to be reading Genesis 3. I'm still going through Genesis. Got a little surprise for you today. After the kids did some little drawings, because my wife we do little activities with them after the fact, after we read. So this is what we read today. I'm just going to read, give a little commentary. Genesis chapter 3, verse 1. Now, before we start, now we got to remember, in the end of chapter 2, Adam and Eve were both there in the garden. They were put together, basically married. They were married. I would say they were man and woman. So they're getting ready to start their journey. But in chapter 3, here comes the transgression. Now the serpent was more subtle than any beast of the field which Yahuwah Elohim had made. And he said unto the woman, the serpent said unto the woman, Yea, has Elohim said, Ye shall not eat of every tree in the garden? And the woman said unto the serpent, We may eat of the fruit of the trees of the garden, but of the fruit of the tree which is in the midst of the garden, Elohim has said, Ye shall not eat of it, neither shall you touch it, lest you die. So we went over in the other chapters that there's a tree, it's the tree of life. Adam and Eve were made just like us, but they were meant to be eternal. They were not meant to die, from my understanding. So they had the tree of life, which they were able to eat from to sustain them for as long as they could eat from the tree of life. So get this, as long as they were obedient to the Most High's command and didn't eat from the other tree, the tree of good and evil, of the knowledge of good and evil, then they would always be permitted to eat from the tree of life and live. So disobedience is sin. The wages of sin is death. So now we're about to get into something here. And the serpent said unto the woman, Ye shall not surely die. Now, how does that sound? Elohim is given a direct command. If you eat from this tree, you're going to die. He didn't say you die right then, but you're going to be cut off from the tree of life. Now, where else in the Bible do we see the tree of life? Well, if you go to Revelation, I believe it's Revelation 22:18. I'm gonna do this while we're doing it. Revelation 22:18. Let me make sure I've got that right. Won't take but a sec, and then we'll get back into where we were going. Revelation 22:14. Blessed are they that do Yahuwah's commandments, that they may have the right to the tree of life. Now, this is in Revelation. If you remember in Revelation, at the very, very end, it must be something similar to the garden, because there's a tree of life there in the kingdom that goes over a river. And the ones who have the right to that tree of life are the ones who live the life of obedience to the Most High. Just a thought. And the serpent said unto the woman, You shall not surely die. For Elohim knows that in the day that you eat thereof, that your eyes shall be opened, and you shall be as Elohim, knowing good and evil. Another point here with the serpent, which is the Hasatan. What is it? What is it? It's so simple to see for me now what the serpent is doing and what the Hasatan is always gonna do. Think about it. The Most High wants us to guard His commandments and believe on His Son Yeshua. That's what we're supposed to do, is have the testimony of His Son and guard His commandments. Which means we're supposed to be obedient to His commandments and follow His Son into the kingdom. So, what does the serpent do? He comes in and he tells a little lie. You won't die if you eat from that tree. He tells her that the reason that the Most High don't want you to eat from the tree is because then you'll be like Him. You see how the devil plays these games? And he's got a whole religion out there based off of that very transgression. You don't have to keep the commandments of the Most High to make it to the kingdom. Well, what does it say in Revelation at the very end of the book? If you're going to enter into eternal life, you must keep Yahweh's commandments. So we've got a serpent religion out there that's coming in and deceiving and beguiling the people. Just think about it just a little bit. And when the woman saw that the tree was good for food, and that it was pleasant to the eyes, and a tree to be desired to make one wise, she took of the fruit thereof and did eat, and gave also unto her man with her, and he did eat. And the eyes of both of them were open, and they knew that they were naked, and they sewed fig leaves together and made themselves aprons. So before this, they were like little babies before the transgression. They were running around naked. Nobody was ashamed. They were man and woman, male and female, husband and bride, or man and wife, getting ready to be fruitful and replenish the earth, and the transgression happens. So the plan is thwarted. So now they've sinned. Now they've broken the commandment. Their eyes are open to good and evil. They realize they're naked, and now they're ashamed. They're no longer like babes. See, that was the whole reasoning for the Most High to give them a command to follow. Eat from this tree and live. Don't eat from this tree. If you eat from this tree, you'll live. But if you eat from this tree, you will die. So it's all the way in the foundation of the book. The Torah of Elohim was already established. It's his character. It's his word. It's what he created things through. It's all these things, but it's also our instructions. Well, before Adam and Eve did this and were seduced by the serpent into transgression of the Most High's commandment, before that, there was no teaching needed. They were like little babies. They would have been taught, they would have been brought up without ever having to worry about it, because no sin was in the world, because sin is transgression of the Torah. Well, before sin, there was no transgression of the Torah, so therefore there was no need. When we're going to see here in a minute where the Father would be coming down in the cool of the day, which would be like the evening time, and I believe that he would come down and he would minister to Adam and Eve, and he would teach them and nourish them with knowledge and understanding of things, of how things are supposed to be. But once they broke this transgression, now there's a need for instructions. Now the Most High, now I've got to instruct you, because now you know things that I know. That's just the way I see it. And they heard the voice of Yahweh Elohim walking in the garden in the cool of the day, and the man and his woman hid themselves from the presence of Yahuwah Elohim amongst the trees of the garden. And Yahuwah Elohim called unto Adam and said unto him, Where are you? And he said, I heard your voice in the garden, and I was afraid because I was naked. Now what does the Most High say here? And he said, Who told you that you were naked? Have you eaten of the tree wherefore I commanded you, you should not eat? And the man said, The woman who you gave me, she gave me of the tree, and I did eat. So automatically he tries to blame the woman, won't take responsibility for being the man. And Yahuwah Elohim said unto the woman, What is this that you have done? And the woman said, The serpent beguiled me, and I did eat. So she blames the serpent. After they have a direct command, just don't eat from that tree and everything will be perfect. They tested one time, failed the test. And Yahweh Elohim said unto the serpent, Because you have done this, you are cursed above all cattle, and above every beast of the field. Upon your belly shall you go, and dust shall you eat all the days of your life. Now, of course, the Hasatan's plan all along has always been to destroy the creation, to keep us in the bondages of sin all the way from the beginning. There was already that war going on in heaven. Things were happening. This study I'm doing isn't going to go that deep, but we got to understand that the Hasatan he was already on the scene. Or, this is just thinking, or maybe Adam and Eve had to be tested to really get the deed, I guess you would say, to this earth. Because once that transgression happened, there was a transaction also that happened, which meant that the Hasatan got the deed to this earth. It's no longer the Father's. This is no longer the Father's earth after that. He's got the deed. The Hasatan made a transaction there with that deception, and he deceived the deed out of Adam's hand. So therefore now, that's why he's the prince of the air. That's why he's the God, the little g God of this earth. Is because of that. He's got the deed to this earth. So he's making the moves, and he can make the things happen on this earth. That's why we can always be deceived by sometimes blessings. When people say, oh, well, you know, when disobedient, or say, well, yeah, I'm disobedient, but how come I'm still getting blessed? Because, you know, I go to church and I do this and I'm getting blessed. Well, what are you getting blessed with? Are you blessed with good health because you're being obedient? Or, you know, are you being blessed with monetary, worldly things, riches of this world? Because if you're being blessed and you're praying for riches, the riches of this world and the things of that nature, Yahweh's not going to bless you with that. Yahweh's going to bless you with things of the kingdom. See, we're supposed to be building our treasure in the kingdom. But instead, people build up wrath for themselves because they worship the God of this world, the Hasatan. And they don't even know it. They think that their religion has saved them and that their religion is right, even though it's plain as day that their religion does nothing but teach them to break the commandments of Yahweh. That's not Yahweh's religion. That's not the faith that's in the Bible. That's not following the Messiah. And all of these things are in the beginning. You just have to be able to discern these things out and just read the book. So, and Yahweh Elohim said unto the servant, because you have done this, you are cursed above all cattle and above every beast of the field. Upon your belly shall you go, and dust shall you eat all the days of your life. So apparently, the serpent had legs. But because of this now, I guess that's why we got the snakes like we got today. Just a little something there. And I will put enmity between you and the woman, and between your seed and her seed. And it shall bruise your head, and you shall bruise his heel. What did the Messiah do when he finished the work on the cross? Not finished, not all being fulfilled, but he finished the work on the cross, which is only part of it. What happened there? Well, he crushed the serpent's head with his heel. So that's what this passage is referring to. It's already prophesying the Messiah coming and dying for this transgression right here. The wages of sin is death. The wages of sin. You know, all through when Israel was coming up, and we had the sacrificial system and the Levitical priesthood. That was the old covenant, which nothing has changed in the Torah about the old covenant. But what makes it a better covenant is it's a covenant with Messiah as the high priest. We have an everlasting high priest, mediator of the covenant. His sacrifice took care of all sacrifices that needed to be made for sin. But that doesn't mean that the Torah is done away with. And we'll get on to that later. That's not the kind of teaching this is. This is just getting in the beginning. This is the very first part, finding out who we worship, what happened, and what really happened in the fall of man and the transgression and with the serpent and with the Hasatan. What really happened there? Unto the woman said, I greatly multiply your sorrow in conception. In sorrow shall you bring forth children. And your desire shall be to your man, and he shall rule over you. Okay, so here's the Most High laying the order down. And this is going to hurt some feelings, but this is just the truth, and this is the Bible. Your effeminate pastor, pork chop, whatever, if you want to go to him or whatever, he's too effeminate to tell you this truth. Because I've already seen it in the other side on the Sunday church. They're afraid of women. The order is all out of whack. The woman's running the household. And I'm not trying to say that in a sexist way. It's not sexist. Proper order brings in proper order in your house. If you're lined up with the Most High's order, then your house is going to be in order. You ever heard the sayings where you need to have your house in order? Well, you need to have your house in order. The man needs to be under the Messiah and following the Messiah, and that's his head. The head of the woman is the man, because the man's following Messiah. So for him to be the head over his woman is not going to be a bad thing, because that woman's going to get everything that she needs, just like our husband feeds the bride, which is the assembly, not the Christian church. He gives his bride everything that he needs. Why? Because she's an obedient bride. She's not an adulterous bride. She doesn't go out whoring after other gods and Elohims and Messiahs. There's a proper order. The man is the head. The woman was taken out of the man. The man was created in the image of Yah. The woman was taken out of the man and created in the image of the man. Right? That's just a proper order. Not trying to be mean or anything like that, but the society today and how far we've fallen from the truth. Look at what's going on in the world today. Women are running the house. Women are taking their men when they get tired of the situation, or a man comes into the truth, the knowledge of the truth, and then decides to get his house in order. What do these disobedient women do? They go run to the court system, which you ain't supposed to be suing people in this lawless law of this world. We're supposed to go by the Torah. If that woman wants out, that man can give that woman a writ of divorce. But yet they run to the legal system. They take the man's children. They break him down to nothing. They take all his money. They bleed him dry. And everything's totally out of order. Because in the day when it was Israel, if a man gave a woman a written divorce, they left that house and they left with the clothes on their back, and that was proper order. That's just the truth. Not trying to be mean, but we got to admit we are all out of order as far as it comes to the household for the most part these days. Now, the people that's in the truth, the people that's living a biblical lifestyle, you don't have to worry about that kind of stuff. I don't have to worry about that kind of stuff here in my house. House is in order. My wife she has been always totally great. I always say this, Proverbs 31:10 woman, go to Proverbs 31, start at chapter 10, read, who can find a virtuous woman? What is a virtuous woman? Read that chapter. All you women should be reading Proverbs 31:10, because that describes a virtuous woman from the Bible, a good biblical woman. She don't pluck her house down with her own hands. She builds her house. She builds her husband up. See, it's not this thing where the man just lords and rules over his wife like that. Like she's just got to, like you just have a rod of iron that you rule that woman with. That's not what it is. That's how a woman biblically shows love to her man, is by her obedience, just like the man shows the love of the Father through his obedience. There's an order to this thing. There's an order to this thing. Now, I got way off track there. I'm sorry. Sometimes these things, they just come out. And your desire shall be to your man, and he shall rule over you. And unto Adam he said, because you have hearkened unto the voice of your woman, she usurped your authority. Y'all got out of order, and that's how this happened. See, that's how it happened. The devil rarely ever goes to the man. He knows the best way to get to the man is to go to his woman, the weaker vessel. The weaker vessel. Because if he would have come to the man first, that thing would probably have been shut down right then. Probably been shut right then. Because you got to think, the devil, the serpent, deceived the woman. Then from what I'm reading, the woman deceived the man. Because it just said she gave him of the fruit and he ate it. She could have just said, hey man, this stuff's good, here, take it. I think she very well deceived the man. But I mean, that's a little thus thinketh Brent rather than thus saith Yah type of stuff. That's just, like I say, when I always read the Bible, I think we're all like that. We're all human. We all have thoughts. We try to picture these things. That's how I picture it. But, because he hearkened to the voice of his woman, instead of hearkening to the voice of the Most High Yah and keeping his commandments, he hearkened the voice to the woman who had fell into disobedience, which caused him to fall into disobedience, which caused all of mankind to fall, that put us where we are right now. Think about it. Just think about it. And you have eaten of the tree which I commanded you, saying, you shall not eat of it. Cursed is the ground for your sake, and in sorrow you shall eat of it all of the days of your life. When you're in the garden, you eat from the tree of life. Everything was prepared. You had your water there, the best water you could ever drink. The air was clean. You're in paradise. You wake up with your woman in the morning, probably just laid out on the dew of the ground. Go to the whatever tree in the garden, other than the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, that you can eat from. The animals are eating the herbs of the field. You're eating the herbs of the field. Your food is your medicine. Your medicine is your food. Everything is perfect. But now, because of the transgression, he can't be in the garden anymore, and that's what we're about to find. Now he's going to be taken out of the garden, because like we said in the beginning, the Garden of Eden was one small, perfect little spot in the earth. So once now this guy, instead of being on an eternal Sabbath with the Most High, now he's got to go till the ground, grow his food. He's getting moved out of the garden. He's evicted now. Can't come back to the garden. And now he's got to work with the sweat of his brow for bread and food. Amazing. Thorns also and thistles shall it bring forth to you. And you shall eat of the herb of the field. In the sweat of your face shall you eat bread till you return to the ground. For of it you are taken. For dust you are, and unto dust you shall return. See, now he don't have the right to the tree of life anymore. He's getting kicked out of the garden. And Adam called his woman Chua, because she was the mother of all living. And Adam also to his woman did Yahweh Elohim make coats of skin and clothe them. The wages of sin are death. Not only is Elohim's only begotten son going to have to come and die, but now he's going to have to slaughter some animals to make coats of skin to cover these people. So now 2 animals have got to lose their life. That was not the original plan. The original plan was there was not to be animals eating animals and us having to go kill things. The dietary law was, just don't eat from that tree, you'll be fine. As a matter of fact, when you really get into this stuff, everything was one. Everything flowed through all the same thing, meaning that Adam was able to speak to the animals, and the animals were able to speak back to him. A lot of people don't know that. Unto Adam called his woman Chua, because she was the mother of all living. Unto Adam also, and to his woman, did Yahuwah make coats of skin and clothe them. And Yahuwah said, behold, the man is become as one of us, to know good and evil. See, now they know good and evil. Now you got to have instructions. And now lest he put forth his hand and take also of the tree of life and eat and live forever. See, that right there tells you, because of his transgression, he just lost the right to the tree of life, which means he cannot live forever. But when we get to the kingdom, the ones who kept the commandments and had the testimony of Yeshua gets the right to the tree of life again. Eternity. Therefore Yahuwah sent him forth from the Garden of Eden to till the ground from whence he was taken. So he drove out the man, and he placed at the east of the Garden of Eden cherubim and a flaming sword, which turned every way to guard the tree of life. There you go. The tree of life had to be guarded. As a matter of fact, the real reason that he set him to the east over into the cave of treasures is actually, from what my understanding, there's some great books on that. It's really neat. There's the books of Adam and Eve out there. I think they're a good read. And there's the books, I think there's 6 books of the caves of treasure, which each thing went 6,000. Each thing went 1,000 years. But those are really cool books. Most people have never heard of those. I don't think you'll ever find those in any Bible or anything. Now, who knows if they were supposed to be there? But there's plenty other inspired writings, I believe, out there that can bring forth knowledge and understanding and fill in these gaps. because Genesis is pretty vague. I think we're about to get into the Nephilim and things like that. It's a very small thing on the Nephilim in the book of Genesis, and it's a very important part of our story, because that's the whole reason that the flood had to come. And I know I don't want to get too far ahead of things. I want to kind of stay where we are. But hopefully you got some understanding from Genesis chapter 3, the transgression, why these things had to happen, and there is a tree of life in Revelation that people need to pay very, very close attention to. You have to read your Bible from beginning to end, because there's nothing new under the sun. Again, this is just flesh, Brent Guffey's, I'm not going to say emotions, but things that I think about is what was the Garden of Eden like? And after the millennial kingdom, when we go into the kingdom, the New Jerusalem comes down, is it going to be like the garden? I always think about these questions. Is it going to be like it was in the garden when it was very good, when things were perfect? Because it does speak in Revelation. I've already said it, 22:14. There is a tree of life, apparently in the kingdom. Very similar to what's going on in the garden. So I got a surprise for you. We did something, my bride, which I always brag about, because, hey, guess what? When you got a good bride, you got to brag on them. But she does so good. She's also a teacher. So we got 3 kids. So we had this very lesson today. And, of course, with Ashley being a teacher of elementary kids, she's always coming in that facet. So the activity was to draw what you think the Garden of Eden would have looked like. And this is Maddie. She's 13. She's the oldest. That's what she laid out there. I thought that was pretty neat. Notice they all got the trees with the fruit and the water source. And I thought that was really cool. Now my son Lucas, hopefully y'all can see these things. I think you can. This is his. He's got Adam and Eve in there, right there. Apparently this is the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, because he put down here the forbidden fruit. That's great. I love it. You can't beat that. And then little Gracie, she's 6 years old. That's my youngest daughter. And there's her Garden of Eden. Look, you got Adam over there. I can't. Which one's Adam?
Not sure.
Well, either way, somebody's picking some fruit off there, getting ready to eat. That's great. Minds of children, man. We've got to raise them up in the way they should go, people. We've got to pour righteousness into our little kids, man. We have to do it. They have to be taught in the way. Anything else is not going to suffice. People I hear all the time is, well, your kids are young and you teaching them all this stuff and they're doing good now, but wait, no, you don't believe the Bible if you believe that, because most people whose kids fall out of favor is because they were never taught properly in the Torah anyway. They were taught some religion that's of the devil, so therefore they never stood a chance anyway. My book says, train a child up in the way that they should go, and they won't depart from the faith. The faith, not religion. But anyway, I hope that was pretty good. It was fun for me. I love to share. I love to read with y'all. Whoever listens, I may just be reading to myself, and that's fine too. I'll watch it later and read it again. But hopefully we get something out of it. Hopefully it's pretty fun, but also hopefully, some raw, brutal truth can come out through this thing. Always, once again, hey, we're never here. We're not condemning anybody, anything like that. I just got to get the truth out of there. I'm a sower of seed, and the seed is the truth, and that's my job, and that's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to keep on sowing that seed of truth. And, I don't know everything. I'm still learning myself. That's why I do these things. As I'm reading for y'all, it gives me a chance to think about things, which is why I stop. That's just me thinking about what Brent thinks about while he reads, and hopefully it helps somebody out that gets to watch it. But it is a Sabbath day, so Shabbat Shalom, and I'm going to go take a break. I'm going to go get me some rest. Love y'all out there. Be good.